What's 100 Days of Coding Challenge. Today is day 5 and let's see the question number 1. So the question is, design a Java program to manage a company's employee hierarchy, and we need to implement the classes called employee, manager and director with specific attributes and access modifiers. We need to illustrate the use of access control in different scenarios. So in today's question, we are going to deal with access control and also the super keyword. So the description is given: create classes of these three, which is employee, manager and director. Define attributes like employee ID, name, department and salary with varying access modifiers, private, protected, default and public for these attributes. Also, we need to use methods to demonstrate access to these attributes within and outside the class. There is no particular input format for this question, and the output must be we need to display all the information about employees, managers and directors with their respective details and illustrate how access control affects the visibility of attributes in different classes. So there are 4 tasks which we need to do. First of all, we need to create instances of employee, manager and director, which is objects with specific attributes with specific attribute values. Also, we need to access and display these attributes within the respective classes. So this is the first task. The second task, we need to attempt to access the private attributes. So private keyword, so we will discuss in a short about what are all the access modifiers. So we have to try to access the private attributes from outside the class and validate. And the third task we have is demonstrate scenarios where the super keyword is used to access superclass attributes within the subclasses. And the final task is we need to implement methods within the subclasses that access and modify the superclass attributes using appropriate access modifiers. So overall in this question we are dealing with 2 topics. One is access modifiers and the super keyword. So what is access control and access modifier? So we can access the control of we can control the access of these variables, methods and even the constructors using keywords like access modifiers. There are 4 access modifiers. One is public, the one is protected, the other one is default where we actually keep no keyword, and then there is private. So public. So we still now we have been writing public class and class name. So that public there is an access modifier which will allow that particular variable or method or constructor to be accessed from anywhere within the Java program. We can so this public keyword makes it public and it is accessible from anywhere. And then coming to the protected, there is a little protection here. So this, whenever protected keyword is written before a variable or a method or constructor, then that variable will be accessible only within the same package, or if certain class is extending that class. That means if there is some inheritance, then the protected variables can be accessed. And then coming to the default, these default variables where there is no access modifier mentioned before that variable, we can access that only within the same package. And finally we came to the private, which is the ultimate access modifier, which restricts that from accessible, restricts the access of it from other classes. So it is accessible only in that particular class. So only same class. So this will give ultimate access control. So now this was about all these 4 access modifiers. Now coming to the super keyword. So super keyword is a keyword which we had already discussed in Java. We can access the attributes or methods of the superclass. What is a superclass? It is the parent class in the child class using the super keyword. So if we want to access the variables within the parent class, so we can use super and dot and whatever the variable name we want. Or if we want to access some method, then also we can write super dot the method name, and that method would be called. Else we can also invoke the constructor of the super class using super and these braces. So this is to invoke the constructor. We can invoke constructor, we can invoke variable, or even the method of the superclass. So this was about the super keyword. So now let's quickly write the code and perform the given task. So now as this question is about employee, manager and director, I am going to create a class called company.java. Now it's time for us to write the main method. Okay, so the first class we have is class employee. What all attributes does this class have? So let me copy this and I'll write it here. I'll comment this. So first of all, we have string employee ID. Okay, and then we have string name. Then we have department. And then we have the salary. So I'm going to keep it as int salary. Okay. So these are all the attributes of this employee class. So now I'm going to give each of the access modifiers for these four variables. So for the first employee ID, I'm going to give private. And then for this, I'm going to give protected. Here, I'm going to keep it as default. That means no keyword is there, which is default access modifier, and the salary as public. So these are all the, I've given each of the attribute with one access modifier. Now it's time for us to write the constructor. So here I'm going to make the constructor as public. So we can give these access modifiers to all like variables, methods, and even the classes. So public employee. So what all attributes will it take? The parameters are employee ID, and then the string name, and string department, and int salary. Okay. So now I'm going to use this keyword to instantiate the values of all of these. So employee ID, this dot name equals name, and this dot department equals department, and this dot salary equals salary. Okay, so I have initialized all the values of the objects. Now it's time for us to write the display info method for the employee class. So public void display info for this class. So I'm going to write print statements employee ID, and I'm going to print the employee ID for the employee. And the next statement will be having the name. So the name is name variable, and the next statement will be having department. So the department will be department variable. Finally, we have the salary, which will be salary. Done. So I have also written the display info method for this employee class. So this is the parent class. Now I will write a child class for this employee. So class, so manager extends employee. So this is a child class for this parent class. Now, what extra attribute does this manager have? So I'm going to write as a string team. Let this be an extra attribute for this, and I'm going to give it as a private. Okay. So now I have to also write the constructor for this. So public manager, and the attributes, so whatever parameters are there, it will be same as this because it is extending. And then the extra thing is string team. So here to access all the so here I don't need to declare all the employee ID, name and department and salary because I have already initialized them in the parent class constructor. So to avoid that, I can directly call the super constructor, and I can initialize the values of employee ID, name, department and salary. The extra thing which I need to do is this dot team. So this dot team equals team. Now the constructor is done. So I will write again the public void display info method to display the information about the manager. So here again I am going to call the super dot display info. So here I am using super to call the parent class method, and here I used to call the parent class constructor. So here it invokes the parent class constructor, and here call the parent class method. So dot whatever method is there, so that method will be called. That means these all details will be printed for that particular manager. So now I'm going to print the manager details. So for manager, what is the extra attribute? It is a team. So team plus, so it will be the team. That's it. Now I have another class which is director. So director extends manager. Now what does the director have? So let me write the director has an extra attribute called headquarters. So again I have to write the constructor for the director. So public director, he will be having all these attributes along with the new attribute which he has, that is headquarters. String headquarters. Now instead of initializing all the attributes again, I'm going to again call the super keyword to invoke the constructor of the parent class, and the new new variable I am going to initialize here using this keyword, and also display info method for this director, and again super dot display info, and print the headquarters, which is headquarters. That's it. So I have written 3 classes, one parent class which has one child. Again, this manager has another child which is director. So that's it. So now it's time for us to instantiate the objects for all the 3 classes. So I'm going to use employee, which is the class name. So employee, and then let me write e1 equals new. So new will give some memory, new employee. So let me give the string ID as 1, comma, string name. So let me give Rahul, and then we have department. Let me give marketing, and then we have salary. So let me give some value here. So it's 12 lakhs. Okay. So that's it. I have created one employee now. So here this is the constructor. This is a parameterized constructor. Now I'll create a manager. M1 equals new manager. So employee ID, let it be 2. And then the name Krishna. And then the department again marketing. Let the salary be a little high. I'll give 20 lakhs. So I'm just giving this as an example. And now it's time for us to create a director. So director D1 equals new director, and let the employee ID be 3, and the name be Ramu, and then the department is again marketing, and the salary be, so let me give here 30 lakhs. The team is marketing again, and the headquarters, so let it be New York. Okay, so I have instantiated the objects. So now let us call the display info methods for all these objects. So employee1.displayInfo, m1.displayInfo, and d1.displayInfo. Okay, so let us run and check if it is working or not. First of all, we need to compile. So java c company.java, and then we will write java company to run the file. So you can see we are able to access everything. So employee, so these are the employee details, and then we have the manager, and then we have the director. So we have printed everything. So for distinguishing that, so let me write here employee details, and then else we can include this inside the method also in the display info method. Employee details, and then here I'm going to write manager details. Manager details, and here we can write it as director details. Let us run again and check. So you can see we had got the employee details here, and then the manager details, and then the director details successfully. So that's it. So now the first task of us is done, which is create instances and display them. So now let us try to access the private attribute of the employee class in the public class. So how do we do this? So s out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call the employee dot, what is the private attribute there? Employee ID. So employee ID. You can see I'm already getting a red mark here, which is saying the field employee.employee ID is not visible. So what did I say that private keyword does? So private means those particular variable or method is accessible only within that particular class. So I'm not able to access this employee ID in some other class, which is company. So the second task is also done. So now the third task is demonstrate scenarios where the super keyword is used to access the superclass attributes within the subclasses. So I've already told you what is the super keyword doing here. So here super keyword is initializing the values of employee ID, name and department and salary, which was already initialized in the parent class. So if I try to access the, so let me write a print statement and m1 dot salary. So let us take salary, which was already declared in the parent class, which is employee, and I'm trying to print for the manager. It will print, right? So first of all, let me comment these three so we don't get it again printed, and let me clear it. If I compile the file javac company.java and java company, you can see I'm getting that printed. So for manager, it is getting printed. So we had used super keyword there. So the third task is done, and the final task we have is implement methods within the subclass that access and modify the superclass attributes using the appropriate access modifiers. That means in the subclass, I have to write a method. So let me take the director subclass of the manager, and I will write a method called public void modify salary. And here I am going to pass an employee. So employee, which is, so this employee is an object. So object of employee class, and then I'm going to write in salary, so which is new salary. So here I'm going to change employee dot salary equals new salary. So here I have changed the employee salary with the new salary, and this one I have written in the subclass where I am trying to modify the parent class, which is a super class attribute, that is the salary. Okay, so let me try to write here. I'll comment this out, which is actually done. So let me call the d1 dot modify salary. So E1 I'll pass, and what is the new salary? So as it is 12 lakhs, so I will write here 15 lakhs. Before that, just before modifying it, I'm going to print the information about. So let me write s out E1 dot salary. So through this we will get to know the previous salary, and then after that we are going to print the modified salary. So salary before and I'll copy this and salary after. So let us run and check if it is getting modified. So Java C company dot Java and Java company. You can see. Okay, so here we haven't got printed because we haven't written any print statement after modifying. So let me write here sout employee dot salary. So let me rerun it again. So first of all, compile it whenever you make changes. Now run it. So you can see the salary before was 12 lakh and then the salary had become 15 lakhs. So this was how we use, we can modify the attributes of the parent class in the subclass. So in this question, we had seen about the access modifiers we have, which are 4 types, and also the use of super keyword, which is super beneficial in Java. So that's it for this video. Do follow the 100 Days of Coding Challenge by VIT-AP. Thank you for watching.